Hello, hello. Welcome to Babes on the Brink. Je m'appelle Annabel, je suis fidèle. We are going to be covering the Traitors Quebec episodes 1 to 3 of season 2, and joining me as always, my number one fidèle, it's Chili Philly from Australian Survivor.
Bonjour. Oh my god. I'm so sorry to everybody for us trying to be as French Canadian as possible.
Yeah, we don't speak French, and we certainly couldn't do it in a Quebecois accent, so bear with us, especially if we murder some of these names. How have you been, Chili Philly?
I'm good. I'm good. We finished Australian Survivor this week. So no more Survivor for a while. But it was super fun talking to Eileen for the last 2 months, which this is a very long season. No, we're being really good. We hung out with some of the survivors the other day. So I think we'll manage to wrangle them for some chats at some point in time. Other than that, no, I've been feeling really good. I moved house.
Ooh, where are you now? Somewhere different.
Yes, somewhere different. I don't want to dox myself.
Love that for you.
What about you?
Yes, so I just feel like I have so much free time now. I'm not watching a lot of Survivor every week. Went The Cringe is Real, friend of the pod. I did their first ever live show on Friday night, so I went to that, and shout out to Sam. That was so much fun. Other than that, really trying to get into these non-English language speaking versions of the Traitors. So a little bit of housekeeping. Philly and I are going to be covering Quebec season 2. We're going to do it probably 3 episodes at a time, and we are limited by when the subtitles are added. So even though I know episode 4 is out at this stage, we're just doing 1 to 3. If you want to follow along with us, I recommend that you go to Reddit, go to the Traitors archive, where an absolute icon and legend is adding the episodes with subtitles. So you don't need to speak all of these languages. You can watch along with us. At the same time, I am also watching The Traitors Hungary season 1, which Sarah Carradine and I are going to be covering. So that's been super fun. It's been a lot of very intensely watching the Traitors because you can't half watch it if you're following the subtitles, Phil.
Yeah, this is full attention at all times watching of the Traitors, which to be honest has made it maybe a little bit more enjoyable for me because I really have to I have to remember their names. I have to remember because sometimes it's really easy for you to just tune out and just be like, oh, that's their voice. But because they're speaking in a different language as well, you sort of try to pick up on so much at the same time. It's really funny because in high school, I did French, but I sucked at it. So even in my mind, I'm like trying to be like, okay, let's see if I don't look at the subtitles, if I can understand what they're saying. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. I don't know enough. But no, I've actually been enjoying it, Annabelle.
Same.
And do you know what? I will say this. If anybody is watching sort of all the English-speaking ones, so AU, US, Canada, New Zealand, UK, and you want a gateway into the non-English-speaking ones, this probably would have to be the good transitional one because it's basically Traitors Canada, literal form. Same challenges, same host, same everything. They're just speaking different language. So this might actually break your perception that it's going to be harder to sort of follow or whatever if you have those sorts of apprehensions.
It's been really good. And I mean, season 1 of Quebec, completely unhinged. I think probably one of my favorite seasons overall. Just the cast, so crazy. This cast, a little less crazy than that, but I would still say more unhinged than your regular Canadian English-speaking or UK English-speaking cast. I think they make them different in French Canada. And for those of you who normal podcast listeners, Philly and I are very excited. We are launching the video version of our podcast now. So if you want to see
I was going to say, which you probably wouldn't know because before we didn't do video, but I'm not in a bed we're wearing clothes. We're lit.
Yeah. Philly and I used to do this in our pajamas. Phil from bed, me, unwashed hair, often unbrushed as well, furiously vaping. But now we're trying to bring a certain level of professionalism for you, so we're both dressed today. You'll be able to watch these on YouTube as well, so let us know what you think. And we'll actually be able to read what you think. So for those of you who have been very lovingly leaving us ratings, reviews, and comments, we have not been ignoring you for the last 2 years. We just simply didn't have access to see them. So I sat down yesterday. I have managed to successfully claim our Spotify account. I can now see our Spotify comment. Watch this space for our Apple reviews. I discovered some people, some listeners, having claimed Spotify. We've got new friends, Phil, so
Okay,
I
yeah.
wanted to read you some of these because there's some new people I'm totally obsessed with. Shout out to Alia Fernandez, 1991, who said, I'm really so excited. Chili, Philly, and Eileen are doing a podcast together. Super thrilled. I've listened to 1 whole minute and I'm ready to leave a comment. This is just brilliant and I adore it.
I listened to 1 whole minute and I'm ready to leave. I was like, oh!
So thanks, Alia. That was probably over a month
Thank
ago,
you.
but we love you and we appreciate you.
Yeah, I hope you were disappointed for the 2 weeks we didn't podcast.
Yeah. Shout out to our number 1 commenter, Jenny, new friend of the pod, Jenny, who has given us some really helpful feedback on a lot of our Traitors US episodes. She said, look, I will say, I think Brittany's concern about Danielle being a sinking ship was valid. If Ivar had lost a coin toss and revealed he was faithful, there's a very good chance Dolores sides with Dylan at the next round table. She trusted him at least as much as she trusted Danielle, if not more. So Jenny backs Brittany in this one, and Jenny, we back you.
Yeah, where Jenny stands here.
Where Jenny
I think
stands.
you'll win the coin toss.
Yeah, we love you, Jenny, and so sorry that you've sent us all these comments and we have never read any of them. Again, we weren't ignoring you. It was literally us.
We had no access to anything.
And Joe Bine, who says, not the pre-cum incident. Also, Jane's consistent disdain for Ivar is my medicine. Yes, Jane is my medicine as well, and I'm going to be covering a non-English speaking season with her as well.
Yes.
So, more Jane coming, Joe Bine.
Yeah, I was going to say, seriously, it just sounds like we're just going to be doing a lot of content.
More content.
Survivor. More Traitors.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends, please.
All right, so please do leave us a rating and review. Eventually, we will be able to see our Apple ones as well, hopefully this week. And we'll actually respond now. Okay, so let's go back to the Traitors Quebec. I thought, let's have a look. We're 3 episodes in. What are your feelings about the season so far?
I like it. It's a good, so far for the first 3 episodes. And to be fair, that first episode and the second episode are basically one long episode.
Yeah.
So far we have a good combination of the beginnings of traitor intrigue or distrust.
Yeah.
And we have good, faithful conflict, which is always going to be at the very beginning. You know, you're going to always have that faithful conflict. But the fact that the traitors are already sort of being a little bit chaotic is sort of being really helpful because it does move everything along quite a bit, especially because we've been a bit spoilt with some recent seasons where the traitors have actually done well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need some more craziness.
Yeah, I love the craziness. It really is a repeat of Canada season 2. Not only do we have all of the same challenge, the same missions, we have the same kind of twists. So we've got a pre-existing relationship here. We've got our amazing Kareen. I just think it's Canada season 2, but with a much crazier cast. I mean, obviously, special mention to Michael John. Few will ever hit Michael John levels of wild, but I think Michael John would fit in here.
Yeah, and also I think we need to preface, spoiler alert for all the English-speaking versions, including Canada too, which we'll probably reference a lot now at this point.
You're so right. Sorry. This is a full spoilers podcast. As we have mentioned many times in the past, Chili Philly and I, compulsive spoiler givers. So you have been warned. Also, maybe I'll occasionally give spoilers if I can remember Quebec season 1. But that'll be me screaming into the void because Philly hasn't watched that.
Yeah,
Let's start with our traitors first, just looking at some of these big characters.
Yeah.
And I want to start with Mother. That is Anik.
Yeah.
Anik is an osteopath. She's a little bit older, I would say, maybe in her 40s. And super, super hot. She's bold and by her own admission does not know how to rein it in. She arrives in the helicopter, I believe, with a couple of other big people. But she is so much fun, Phil.
I was confused about the helicopter thing because when we had Canada 2, the people in the helicopter were like Neda, Gail, and someone else, and they were meant to be like the Mary
Big Gets.
Jo?
Yeah, Mary
like,
Jo.
Like the big Gets. Yeah, exactly. And so when these people flew in, I was like, are these stars? And no, they were just 3 randoms who happened to just fly in the helicopter. One is a traitor. Like, do we know the timeline for when they filmed this versus Canada?
They do this after Canada, so
they wouldn't have seen that.
They tell the Canadian cast that or the English Canadian cast, they're not allowed to sabotage the missions because they have to be recycled immediately afterwards.
Okay, there you go. Okay, cool. So they wouldn't have known that one of the traitors was in the helicopter. But then that was a very good assumption by whomever said that.
Yeah. Well, they have one traitor, one star. So they have Audrey, who is also Mother. She was the villain, apparently, of Survivor Quebec.
Okay.
So she's in the helicopter. And then there's Jean-Philippe, who has an outrageous mullet and an even more outrageous moustache. Yes. So a mustache, a Survivor star, and Mother herself, Anik.
Yeah, I love Anik. It's so funny because my favorite thing about her is that basically everybody keeps saying how outrageous she is, and yet I feel like, yes, she has her heightened moments, but overall I wouldn't necessarily say she comes across too erratic.
She's a dialed down version of my favorite player from Quebec season 1, where in almost every scene, Anik is starting a fight with someone. Like, she goes up to them to try and have a conversation and clears the air, and then it immediately devolves into an argument. Like, she just can't help it. But I love her, and I feel like she's really likable and like rootable, even though she is the drama.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't think she's doing anything that's too outrageous. So I just think, unfortunately, it's only because she's in the traitor role is her behavior perceived as inherently negative. If she was a faithful fighting for her life, then yeah, you'd be like, well, she's fighting for her life, isn't she? But yeah.
Are we talking about the same person? This is
Anik.
the person who goes up to Marie-Pierre to clear the air and is like, yeah, sorry, our personalities clash. And Marie-Pierre's like, excuse me, what? What do you mean you don't like me?
Yeah.
Every scene is someone having to walk out awkwardly as Anik is screaming at somebody else, and Anik being like, no, stay, I need witnesses. And then being like, no, yes. You're making me uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, you have to sit down, Jean-Philippe, please. In the car, oh my goodness. Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe my short-term memory is only of her highlights. Maybe, maybe that's her power.
She is. She's so charming in a way and charismatic. Someone, we'll get to it, I can't remember who, calls her a seductress, I think. And, we've got somebody else, Marc-Andre, who has a huge crush on her. Like, there's something about her that's incredibly compelling, but she is the drama. Someone who is less the drama, but also a traitor, we have Karine. And no, not Karine the host. Karine, the ex-private detective who's lying about her job and is secretly married to other military personnel, Mike. What do you think about Karine?
Oh, at this point, she definitely has winner upside, right?
She
She's the only
does.
one of the three that isn't being chaotic.
Yeah. T.
Um, though, and the only person that we see who's suspicious of is literally her partner.
T.
Um, so yeah, so I like her, especially as the episodes had rolled on and seeing her sort of observations and sort of how she's been actioning things also does give me good high hopes on her. Uh, but yeah, no, I do like Corrine. She's a perfectly functional sort of player.
It's always so upsetting to me when I see like a really hot kind of butch woman and I'm like, oh my God, is this our lesbian of the season? And then you're like, oh no, she's just military and or cop. Her husband is literally there, Annabelle.
Her husband is literally cock blocking you, Annabelle.
Yeah, she is. I really like Corrine. She seems, as you say, the least chaotic of them. The only chaos for her is her chaos husband, who gets there within 5 minutes, announces to everyone that everyone he's ever dated, including his current partner, is called Corrine. Has to pull her aside to be like, oh, by the way, Karine, have you told anyone what our children's names are? And she's like, no. And he's like, okay, don't, because I've told everyone and they'll put two and two together. So he's not, they're trying to keep their relationship a secret, but Mike is doing a shocking job of keeping secrets. Karine is having to keep her status as a traitor under wraps and also every aspect of her personal life because Mike is sharing all the tea.
Surely she's gonna get caught up in some of that at some point in time.
Yeah, like
They're gonna be like, we don't know you.
This is not Nick and Kira who were absolutely finessing this. No one ever suspected a thing. Like Mike is so going to out them by accident.
Yeah, fully. No.
So then we have our last. This is again just like Traitors Canada 2. All our all our traitors here are women. So our last traitor is Marilyn. Marilyn, really fun, really funny, very warm, very easy to get along with. She's an occupational therapist, which makes her one of about 4 people in this cast who aren't military personnel.
Military cops.
Yeah, she's fun, she's sarcastic, we get a lot of confessionals from her, she's really personable, but she's also kind of low-key the drama of Chili Philly.
Yeah, she sort of played too much too early. I wouldn't say too hard because all she did was vote for Nick. But then you know what? She had good quote unquote reasoning and context for why she did her whatever she did. But unfortunately, it built zero trust because it was literally the first round table, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, very first roundtable, she's already voting for one of her traitors, and that does not bode well. Traitor Karine tells us, I trust Anik more than Marilyn because of that. And, you know, Karine's having to spend half the day going around mopping up Anik's messes, so it really says something. All right, let's talk about our standout faithfuls so far, Philly. Do you have one in particular you wanted to call out?
Well, I guess in the first episode, we had multiple sinologists.
Yeah, so I have never in my life heard of a synagoguist. Synagoguist. Apparently that's a specialist in nonverbal communication. I thought this would be maybe one person's obscure PhD, but no, everybody in Quebec apparently is studying the art of synagology because we have so many of them.
Yeah.
And shout out to Manuel,
yes.
who honestly makes Anik look chill.
Yep.
He's bald, he's with a beard. He's like a very extra nerdy looking Andrew Tate, I would say. And maybe that's just the bald with a beard thing and also the turtlenecks, I don't know. But he reminds me strongly of this narcissist I used to work with, just visually and a few personality tics, which I think is maybe making him more off-putting to me than he actually is, Philly. But Manuel is a synagogist, makes the mistake of loudly telling everyone this to begin with, and everyone is put off by it, because apparently, even though the art of synagology is held up high in Quebec, Philly, it's also quite threatening.
Yeah, instead of seeing it as an asset because there's no way that a faithful will need those skills. That's
No.
immediately traitorous. Well, they wouldn't say traitorous. What would be the equivalent, the French version of traitorous be?
Oh,
Wait, what word did they say?
treacherous. It would be the real word, treacherous.
Treacherous. Very treacherous behavior. Yeah, they all jump on it, which unfortunately also reflects poorly on Francis, who obviously gets murdered. But yeah, no, Manuel definitely is the star of that first episode. He's all over it. Ironically, despite you just sort of bagging him out, he's my crush pick.
Of course he is.
But
Man, yeah.
But it's funny because the whole first episode, I was like, him and Kevin look real similar. Like what? It's like Kevin
Yes.
with a wig. And so yeah, so they both are interchangeable.
Yeah, Kevin is a former military counterintelligence officer. He's our problematic hot dad, I would say. He's just a slightly better looking version in my mind of Manuel, but it sounds
Yep.
like Philly disagrees with me. Manuel loves a bit of grandstanding, as you'll see later. Bless
Yeah.
him. So you're right. Okay, my crush pick isn't really a standout character, so we'll get to her later. But I think another one of our standouts here, we spoke a little bit about her before, has to be Audrey. So Audrey was the villain of Survivor Quebec. She's very conventionally attractive in a kind of Nordic beauty sort of way, Philly. A fashion entrepreneur as well, apparently, recognized straight away by multiple people.
There you go. Do you know, the whole time I was like, who does she look like? And I feel like there's something about her face. She could be Australian. And
Yeah,
and she kind of looks like a weird mix of like Sia and Kate Miller-Heidke,
yeah.
but French version.
But a bit of Valeria from Titans v
Yeah,
Rebels as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's sort of a very Australian looking
A
person to
very
me.
Australian looking person of like Nordic heritage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So she is the only person coming into this with sort of gamer experience, and it shows. She's really quickly trying to rally votes. She's kind of trying to build alliances, and this is immediately off-putting to everybody else who do not view this as a strategic game. They view it as we're looking for traitors and running around like headless chooks.
Yeah.
And I think also the fact she comes in with this big reputation as a villain as well. She's fighting up against that struggle. There's also another icon here who he was not with us, he was with us for a good time, not a long time. But if I was going to do a dramatic roundtable recreation, it would be all of his moments. We have a car salesman, Joshua. He rocks up in a pink suit jacket and fedora, looking like a Timu Bruno Mars.
Yes. The whole time I was like, Bruno Mars, what are you doing on this show? Go sing with Lady Gaga the whole time.
Oh, this man, Philly, this man.
Oh, and so I hadn't watched the previous episodes like Traitor Reveal because those are tacked on to the end of the episode.
Oh, you don't watch those?
But I did watch that one.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm interested in him finding out. And he was devastated because he was
this
so wrong.
Man, he's okay. If we had Tranna from season 1, who was loud and wrong, but still like really loving about it, still really, playing with her heart. Joshua is also loud and wrong, but he's not afraid to kind of aggressively demonize the person who he just feels in his heart that this person is a traitor. No evidence, mind you. He knows you're a traitor, and he's gonna cuss you out over it.
Yeah, swear on the lives of your family. It's you. Don't look at your eyes. Look at your eyes. Don't even look at me.
Don't even look at me. I'm going to get up from this table and walk out the door if you're faithful. It was honestly so embarrassing. So it was great television, and I just felt mortified for him.
Oh, like if you could have had like a worse sort of reality TV run,
Oh
Like, that's
God.
an example of, like, a real bad showing. Like, every moment they showed of you, and you lasted multiple episodes, and every moment they showed of you, it was insane.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. All right, look, there's so many other big characters, but maybe we can get to them as we sort of go through these episodes. We come into episode 1. Opens. Kareen is looking iconic. She's got these heels that are kind of like wedge heels, but teeth. I don't know. It was amazing. Every time I see her, she is my favorite host. And everyone's, they arrive in the cars or the helicopter and they're meeting each other, getting to know each other. The freaks come in. And Kareen arrives in white negligee with her enormous cat, Gustav.
Yes, new
Gustav,
character.
new character alert, Gustav. Jane would love Gustav.
Yes. It's almost like Kareen knew. She was like, what would Jane love? A pet.
Maybe we should do like a power rankings of the different pets.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's multiple across. Did Roger ever have a pet?
Roger never had a pet,
But he
but
had the butler guy.
Lord Voldemort had those hairless dogs, the Chinese cresteds. Alan has, oh my God, I've already forgotten her name, but we love her.
Like,
And
Lala.
Lala. And now we have Gustav. So
Yeah.
I feel like important. We should do a little
Yes.
shout out to them. Okay. So Kareen comes in. She's like, have you noticed? 22 players. That's a lot of players. She's like, how many traitors are there going to be? Is there 1? Are there 2? Are there 3? Are there 4? Who knows? Oh, wait, I do, because I have it in this envelope. Throws the envelope into the fire. We're like, okay, that was a lot. And here we start out again, the classic Canada volunteer for death row. If we get 5 volunteers to come up and say, I'm happy to go on death row tonight, one of us will be murdered, we'll add 10K for the pot. Who has the biggest blur, Phil? And I thought it was interesting that it was exactly the same as Canada, where we basically have 4 alpha bros plus 1 woman who somehow gets sucked into the excitement.
I know. I was like getting flashbacks. Is Letitia the Lauren of the season?
Okay, I love Letitia. So Letitia is a lawyer who loves justice. She's all about justice. She's just kind of around these 3 episodes being loud and kind of wrong. Like she's simply just there.
Yeah, she's like, what's happening around me? What? Somebody brought up my name? I might get murdered?
She's so beautiful though. She's like a very classical beauty. She looks like she's stepped out of a Renaissance painting.
Yes. No. Yeah, she looks great.
But yeah, she's simply there and confused. Letitia feels long game for me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think she might be the Lauren. She might be there for ages. She might be loud and wrong in that way. Like not enough, but enough.
We need to talk about Mike. So Mike's the first to volunteer, of course, because he's the Enoch. He's such an Enoch. So he is a former military guy and bodyguard. Everyone immediately clocks that he was an investigator. He's got investigator vibes. I think he was a military investigator. Who knows? Everyone picks up on it straight away. He's claiming he was just plebby old military. He is secretly married to Kareen, only dates Kareen's famously, rocks up in a very shiny suit vest, and no one seems to really know how to take him. Like, on one hand, he's playing the class clown, he's goofing around, he's making jokes. On the other hand, he's giving, like, very intense military cop vibes.
Yeah, because it's so funny, because every time they describe him, I feel like they bring him up as the answer to whatever they're describing. So they're like, who's doing too much? It's Mike. Who's the leader? It's Mike. Who's the most friendliest? It's Mike.
Real main character energy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he is there, and he volunteers first. Then we get Joshua, cocky bro Joshua. Also, this man is like in his early 20s as well, which I think with like a little kind of like pencil mustache. Is that what you call them?
Yeah. Well, he kind of, when I first saw him, he looked like Freddie from UK3. So it's almost like like youthful energy of Freddie with Bruno Mars.
If Freddie had no charm, Freddie's very charming and like more of that Labrador energy.
Yes.
There's nothing Labrador about Joshua at
No.
all. Like, there's
No.
definitely more of a Chihuahua, angry Chihuahua.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And we have Francis. So Francis is a hypnotherapist, but with experience in synagogy. Because in this cast, you're either from the military, a cop, or have extensive synagogy training. And in
Yeah.
Mike's case, both.
Yeah.
Um, I found him slightly unnerving. There was just something about him, Francis made me feel slightly unnerved.
Was it like the platinum blonde hair
I
and
think it
tan?
was. I think it was the
The
platinum blonde
Malfoy
hair and
like
the tan.
aesthetic.
And the
The,
unmoving face.
the early 2000s sort of blonde hair, the tan, that look.
Yeah. And then we have Michael as well, who's the final volunteer, who uh, he promised himself he wouldn't put himself in the spotlight in the first few days, so he's kicking himself for volunteering first. I would argue it didn't matter what Michael would do, he's always going to stand out in a crowd, Philly.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about him that would just really stick out amongst the whole cast, even, or even in daily life. I just have
No,
no idea.
no idea. It wouldn't be that from his forehead to his feet, he's covered in tats.
Hmm.
Um, he's a barber and a ghost hunter. He's a content creator, influencer on ghost hunting, apparently. Um, and I thought he could be competition for the Chili Philly crush pick because he has a ginger beard.
Let's pick. Yeah, ginger. Yeah, I did think of that. He's bald with a ginger beard. So yeah, no, he's up there and he wears glasses and he has tattoos. So he
Yeah.
actually has a good but we just haven't seen enough of him. He might overtake Manuel. Well, Manuel is the bald with the beard as well. So they might be
Yeah.
competing for the same role. Also, I was going to say, how strange is it between Canada 2 and this that both seasons had a Mike and a Michael?
And a ghost hunter.
And the and
Who
one
was
of
a
them is a
ghost
ghost
hunter?
And then,
Michael
they're
John,
like,
Michael. The
they,
Michael's always a ghost hunter.
they just went, here's the cast, and they went, French Canadian versions. So,
Literally, literally. All right. So that was great. So these people, Mike, Joshua, military Mike, cocky Joshua, lover of justice Letitia, slightly unnerving Francis, and face tats Michael. Those are our volunteers. That one of them's going to be the first person murdered. And we get our traitors selection, Fun Marilyn, Ticking Time Bomb, Arnick, and secretly married Corinne, all women again, and also one of them who's secretly in a pre-existing relationship. But after the traitors selection, everyone's eyeing each other off at the round table, who's looking slightly nervous. And this is where we start to see Marc-Andre. Marc-Andre is the first person to start sweating and sipping water. So Marc-Andre, let's just introduce the audience to him. He's a high school teacher and made the bold choice to pair a floral shirt with slacks and a casual black jacket, 70s glasses. There was some fashion-forward people, is all I'm saying, and Marc-Andre, maybe he could be interpreted that way. What did you think of him?
he really looked like someone, and I can't pinpoint who.
Yeah.
He looked like a famous person. So sometimes in my mind, I was like, is this a famous person?
Yes.
But also he got caught up too much in and not himself, but a lot of the things everybody pinned on him are like the typical, you drank lots of water, you made a weird misstep, you misspoke, you're emotional, you're this, that sort of thing. Like it was very easy for everybody to just go, you are suspicious. Bang on him.
Yeah. He also
yeah,
has... So he's very tight with Arnick. He has a big crush on her, which I thought was cute. And we have a suspicious twink. We can't go on forever with suspicious twinks. Suspicious twinks. We have a suspicious twink who, again, is also called Max. So in season 1 of Quebec, we had Maxence, our suspicious twink. Here we have Maxime.
Mhm.
suspicious twink. And I don't mean that he himself is acting suspicious. I mean, he is suspicious of many. The suspicious twink Max is looking at Marc-Andre. He's also looking at synagoguist Manuel. Have you had any thoughts on Max so far?
He's cute. He definitely is playing the twink role. Like, there's only
Yes,
one. Seriously, we got so lucky in New Zealand with having multiple.
we really did.
But like we only have one every season, it seems. No, he's cute. He did sort of like freak out a little bit, right? And then he had to backtrack on people's perceptions on him. So I would say he's maybe a bit paranoid.
Yeah, paranoid suspicious twink.
Paranoid twink, yeah.
We have Mad Genius Charles. So we haven't had a lot from
Mm.
Charles. Charles has he's an analyst and a programmer with a slightly receding hairline.
Other crush pick.
Oh no.
Stay receding hairline and quiet.
He self-describes as a mad genius, and he does actually quite often point out very reasonable things. He's like,
Yes.
we need to clock everybody's ideas today before they've met each other, because once the traitors meet each other, they might start backtracking. And
Yes.
he's already clocking traitor Karina's nervous. All right. And after this is where we really get the moment that's going to cause a lot of controversy over the next couple of episodes.
Yeah.
Manuel, old mate Manuel, synagogist Manuel, pulls aside traitor Arnick and miscellaneous Ariane. We don't get a lot from Ariane until next episode. And he says, yes, well, I've been using my powers of synagology to look at everyone's body language. And I noticed two people who were very, very calm after the traitor's selection. And therefore, they're not off my list, but they're at the very bottom of my list. And that is you, Arnick, and also it's Ariane. Now, this theoretically great news for Arnick, but she clearly has a guilty conscience because she immediately reads this as him telling her that her and Ariane are top of his list and starts like beefing. And Will is like unaware that she like then starts kind of laying into him. He's like, yes. And she's like, "Argh." But this is gonna spiral over the next 24 hours, Phil.
Oh, it's crazy. I do feel for him because he was actually giving her a lifeline, and she's
Yeah.
like, no, no.
Absolutely not today. So as we head to the mission, everyone's talking about Manuel and how they feel he's overanalyzing their body language and it's making them feel uncomfortable. And frankly, they feel the way about slightly unnerving Francis as well. And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
We have the same cannonball mission. Only notable thing here really is that Mike is bossing everyone around with his military experience, and it slightly pisses some of the men off, particularly Joshua.
Yes. And also, I found it really weird that they focus so much on them flopping at two of the sort of things, yet they didn't even need them anyway.
Yeah.
They got all the money.
They got all the money. It was fine. Manuel's in the car's home, pushing the noticeable body relaxation of Arnick and Ariane, calls Arnick a seductress. So it's him who calls her a seductress. So the names out there at this stage are Mike, the military Mike, who they think will have been trained in synagology, Manuel, who is a synagologist, and then sweaty Marc-Andre for his hectic water sipping. And then we get the cheese platter cocktail hour. And I can't remember how this... Was it Mike, as in podcaster Mike from Canada 1? There's so many Mikes.
Yeah.
Who got
Yeah.
roasted at this in
I
the
feel like it
Canada
was
season?
him because then they were all like, "You're just not close with anybody," or I feel like that definitely happened at a spot that wasn't the round table. I'm trying to think. I feel like it was that.
Yeah, so for context, this is the shit stirring twist. So everyone's got to write on a piece of paper who you think is the most likely person to be a traitor. This isn't a vote out, it's just causing drama.
First
And then you
impressions.
stand up in front of everyone at cocktail hour and reveal your piece of paper and say, this is who I'm most suspicious of at this point for these reasons. And this is literally just like the roast of Manuel. It's everybody getting up and saying, Manuel, Manuel, Manuel. Manuel then feels the need to get up and make a big public speech that it's all his career expertise as a synagoguist. It's intimidating the traitors, and all of you are falling for it.
It's so funny because the Traitors is one of those shows where like you can do where doing these sorts of ridiculous things are exhibitions of like you trying to prove something to other people in a way that's meant to be benefiting you. If you did this on Survivor, people would think you're literally insane.
Yeah, literally. He's also overanalyzing magician Frederique's toast as well. Somehow the body language with the toast was off. I don't blame everyone for being off put by Manuel, by the way, because I'm sorry, but body language is quack science. It's not a thing. And it would be so effing annoying having this man there constantly pointing out every like elbow twitch. I actually couldn't with Manuel. If you bring Manuel home and tell me that he's part of the Circle of Trust Philly, I'm going to have to do some breathing exercises. Other notable moments here, Invisible Marie-Jean, unfortunately correctly clocks Marilyn. Sweaty Marc-Andre cops a drive-by from problematic hot dad and Mike, and Twink Maxime gets a few votes from the women. Oh, I also wanted to introduce here another one of my favorite characters who doesn't get a lot of screen time but is iconic, and that's Yolene.
Yeah.
So Yolene is a very straight, she's a straight shooting grandma, okay? She's got a great smoker's cackle. She's talks very deep and throaty, and she's now massively beefing with Joshua.
Yeah.
Because Joshua puts her name down, but he's trying to put down Yolene, but puts down like Yolanda or something.
Yeah. She reminds me of, and I don't know the specific reference, but like there's like a meme of, I'm assuming it's a comedian or somebody who does a character where it's like an old lady from like a grandma from like, or not a grandma, but like an older woman from New York, and she has like the same like, yeah, and then back in the day, we used to do the...
That one,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, when I was younger, we used to just walk down the street. And that's what
Yes.
she reminds me of.
Yes, she's so fun, and I can't wait to see a bit more of her. This is where Twink Max has his kind of suspicious twink, has his freak out and is like running around to the ladies, and they're all like, baby boy, relax. We literally chose you because it was a throwaway vote. So the traitors meet each other up in Traitors Tower for the first time. Nick, super fun. Her and Marilyn are bonding for this very brief moment before it goes downhill. Marilyn sees Arnick as a shield, but then Karine comes in. They're mostly stoked it's all women, but Arnick does not like that there's another boss bitch up there. There is only space for one boss bitch, and she's the boss bitch. So Karine, I'm looking at ya.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's the... Also, I realised you keep saying that this happened last time. It didn't happen in Canada. It happened in UK.
Were they not all women in... Oh, no, because there was Michael John. The Michael John erasure.
Yeah, you know, I can't... Because I was like, I really like Michael John was there. It's all right.
Okay. Sorry for everyone who's had to listen now to 45 minutes of me saying there were all women in Canada. You're right. UK.
Yeah. There was an MJ somewhere in the cast.
There
was multiple. Again, MJs.
They're everywhere. So they're trying to toss up who they want to murder from death row. They're like, it's either going to be slightly unnerving Francis, face tats Michael, and I think Arnick's pushing Mike, but we all know Karine's not going to let them murder hubby. So we roll into breakfast. It's episode 2, and Manuel is back on his bullshit. So he's letting everybody know that the traitors all voted for me last night. They are the ones who are driving. Manuel, the synagoguist, is sus. In fairness, he's like sort of not wrong, because Arnick is the one spreading that he was coming for her and Ariane, and isn't it weird he's coming for her and Ariane? He is not coming for her and Ariane.
He said the exact opposite.
Anyway. But there's a lot of litigation. There's a lot of litigation over the meaningless votes last night.
Yes.
Slightly unnerving hypnotherapist Francis is dead, and he was asking too many deep questions, apparently. Philly.
Yep. Yeah, he was probing and he wasn't taking no for an answer.
Yeah, Marie-Jeanne agrees with me that she says yes, Francis was a bit terrifying. And villain Audrey, survivor villain Audrey, she's like, yep, good riddance, bye, creepy Francis.
I really want to know. Maybe we'll have to watch Survivor Quebec, but like, I really want to know what sort of villain she was. Was she the sassy
Yes.
villain? Was she the duplicitous? What was she? Was she just an outrageous
Yeah.
character?
Yeah, what specific brand of survivor villain was she?
Yeah.
Um, all right, so today, cocky bro Joshua, he's coming for Audrey. He's not fooled by her, whatever Audrey is doing. And meanwhile, Manuel is freaking out and being weird. The women are not on my list, everyone. I am not coming for Ariane and Arnick. And Arnick is like, oh, Ariane, by the way, did you know Manuel totally coming for us? We're top of his list. But there's a few of them, including my crush pick, hot mom Marie Pierre. So Marie Pierre, she is a federal agent pretending to be a Coast Guard, but on maternity leave at the moment. Very hot and queer coded, but it could just be that she's a federal agent.
not every single federal agent character just being the most queer coded person.
Yeah, she's very hot. They're looking at Letitia. They're looking at Renaissance beauty Letitia. Meanwhile, there's also a bit of a movement against Arnick. And so at the center of this are survivor villain Audrey and Ariane, who is the other person at the bottom or top, depending on who you ask, of Manuel's list. So they are actually doing a great job here. So they have said, look, it's probably somebody in the helicopter. Also, the way Arnick is behaving is really suspicious. Yep. We think that it's probably Arnick, and then her side, her other one is Marc-Andre.
Yeah.
Sweaty Marc-Andre.
Yes.
At this point, Arnick realizes she completely misinterpreted Manuel because she's a traitor with a guilty conscience, and starts spiraling and trying to go around clearing Manuel's name and get him back on side after trashing him for the last 24 hours.
Oh my god.
Smoker Grandma Yolene is pissed that Military Mike didn't say goodbye to anyone, including her, before going to bed last night.
Yeah, suspicious. He knew he was coming back. He just walked away.
The heat does seem to be coming off Manuel here.
Yes.
It's now shifted onto Sweaty Marc-Andre and Mother Traitor Arnick.
Yes. Yeah, because it's sort of interesting because basically, without there being a round table, Arnick sort of fast-forwarded the drama that could have happened at the round table and then tried to resolve it before anything had happened, which then in turn actually sped that process. So now Manuel's almost like free from a bit. He's got the bit of the suspicious immunity without there being a round table.
Yeah, he has. He's getting that Mike season 2 Canada Mike heat, but then coming off him and then just kind of floating through.
Yeah.
So we now have the pull the Trojan horse mission combined with touchy subjects. There is a shield inside. I thought the good twist for this was that it never went anywhere. There is a shield inside the Trojan horse. So if you want the shield, you have to climb inside the Trojan horse that everyone's pulling to get the shield. The twist being, you then have to hang out inside the horse for the rest of the mission, which adds quite a lot of weight. No one went for it, Philly, but I thought this could have been quite interesting.
Yeah, because I think it's if you, I guess the thing that probably played in their minds was that at a certain point they weren't doing some of the questions, so they weren't all willing to just sacrifice people. So if you were the person who was willing to sacrifice yourself for a shield, then that would have made it more that you're playing against everybody else, and just wouldn't have flown as well. Yeah.
Yes. Not a lot to note here, except to say that Marilyn keeps screaming out the correct answers, which you might come back to bite her in the future, might not. And Arnick keeps screaming out the wrong answers, but just because she actually forgot what she had said last night. So...
Yeah.
The other key notable thing here is that Marc-Andre is sweating out the front. He's doing a lot of heavy lifting. He's getting sweaty, he's getting exhausted, and he's a bit overstimmed, I think, by all the shouting. So he actually yells over to his crush Arctic and tells her to shut the F up. This goes down like a lead balloon.
Oh my God.
No one tells Arctic to shut the F up, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the way home, Military Mike, we're back on the Marc-Andre bandwagon. Have you noticed Marc-Andre's been refusing to talk to me since last night. And Manuel's like, yeah, suspicious body language indeed. We've then got this group with Ariane and Audrey who are gunning hard for Arnick. And Marilyn and Corinne, the two other traitors, have both been part of these conversations. Notably, neither of them tip off Arnick. Cocky Josh really wants Audrey, but that's getting shut down. And especially Manuel's like, dude, I cannot have enough names going out there because my name's out there. Marc-Andre is the name. Let's stay focused on Marc-Andre. And there's this idea that Marc-Andre and Arnick are together. Then Marc-Andre and Arnick have a big fight. She's pissed that he swore at her. He's pissed that she's been floating his name. Also, apparently he has a crush on her. She wants Magician Fred to stay and witness? Or Jean-Philippe. Jean-Philippe to stay and witness the fight, but he's like, hell no, girl, I'm out here. Yeah. They end up hugging and making up. So the vote's going to be between Arnick and Marc-Andre. Viti is in an alliance. So we've not mentioned Viti yet. He's a model, I think, and a dancer.
Yeah, like model dancer. He's a Macta.
Yeah, Macta Viti. So he is the one to give Arnick the heads up. So him, Viti, Arnick, and Joshua are in a bit of alliance. As 3 out of the 4 only black people there. The token people of color have to stick together. They're vastly outnumbered. And Viti blames Ariane for the Arnick vote. Arnick and Ariane then have a big fight. And Marilyn's like, look, if the vote is going on Arnick, I am ready to jump on that bus. That's fine. Yeah. And so we get to the round table. Corinne walks in her dominatrix BDSM ensemble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hot problematic dad is coming for Marc-Andre. Arnick accuses Ariana of starting a smear campaign against her, and the two of them keep fighting. There's no love lost between Arnick and Ariane here.
No, not at all. Wait, because is this the beginning of them clearing it up, or is that next?
No, so that's after this. This is because she's going to get Ariane is going to get murdered tonight after Arnick says, I cannot tolerate being with this woman for another day. There's still a lot of heat on Marc-Andre, though, and Marc-Andre does kind of try and deflect to Mike, but there's a real feeling that Marc-Andre and Arnick are a pair, that it was very personal between them. It is, but little do they know it's because of the sexual tension. And Audrey is trying really hard to whisper and push all the people near her to move the vote onto Arnick. Her argument is they're both traitors, but Marc-Andre's a wet lettuce.
Yes.
Arnick's clearly the alpha, let's get Arnick. But when the votes come in, other than a Marc-Andre vote for Joshua, at this point, Joshua has also said, Marc-Andre, I'm so convinced you're a traitor that if you get up there and you're a faithful, I'm going to leave this game. You are a traitor. It's pretty close. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of people. There's the Audrey Ariane girls contingent, which kind of includes them plus Marie-Jeanne and Marie-Pierre. They all vote for Arnick, along with, crucially, Marilyn, oofed. But everybody else is voting for Marc-Andre, including a very emotional Arnick. And everyone is shocked. Marc-Andre is a faithful. Joshua gets up. At this point, Joshua's just like, well, his little precious male ego is like, well, A, this is super embarrassing and I just want to get out of here, but also B, I'll look like an idiot if I don't leave. So he kind of like half-heartedly gets up to leave to leave, and villain Audrey tells him to sit his ass back down.
Yeah. He's like, you're going to get it wrong.
Literally. Anik is pissed at Marilyn. Fair call. Joshua's freaking out and feels dumb, and everyone's finding him super sus. Marilyn is running around telling everyone, oh, I'm definitely not targeting Anik anymore. We totally missed the mark with that Marc-Andre theory, which makes everyone sus on Marilyn. Anik and Marie-Pierre are fighting, so Anik's... This is what I'm saying. Like, Philly was trying to tell you all that Anik is not the drama. Anik is the drama. She has now fought with, 4 people, including her closest ally this episode.
Yep.
So this is where Anik tells Marie-Pierre that they just have clashing personalities. And Marie-Pierre's like, bitch, what?
It's like we've barely spoken together.
And girl, I barely know you. And so Marie-Pierre's like, oh my God, I'm going to die tonight, and it's going to be at Anik's hand. No, don't worry. You're like number 2 on Anik's most hated list right now.
Yeah. She's gonna eliminate the other person she fought with just a little earlier.
Yeah. So they get up to Traitors Tower, and Marilyn's trying to explain herself to Anik, but the damage is done. And Anik, she's on a warpath, okay? And top of her hate list is Ariane. The other 2 are like, oh, don't you think that's a little bit obvious? Ariane was spearheading the movement against you. You've had multiple fights today. Like, I think if we kill Ariane, it's very clear you want to kill Ariane. And she's like, no, I hate this bitch. Get her out of here. And they're like, maybe just take it down a notch tomorrow, Anik. You were kind of the drama today. Like, maybe let's just be less.
Yeah. It's just so funny because they're like, okay, Surely have another name. Okay, Marie-Pierre. They're like, no, please. Not multiple people that are against you, please. Just someone else.
We love it. So okay, at the end of these episodes now, we actually get to see the murdered and banished players. We get to watch them see who the traitors are, but most crucially, there is a twist we've never seen before this year, where all of the players are being encouraged to write down their suspicions in a daily journal. And these daily journals are once you're eliminated, these daily journals are sent to Kareen's office. And each eliminated player, once gone, can nominate who they want to invite to go to Kareen's office, where they then have about 15 minutes, I think, to go through the journals and see what the eliminated players were thinking. First of all, what do you think of this twist, Phil?
I like it because I feel like it sort of, it's allowing people to pass on information if they do get murdered at the very least. It sort of prevents if I get murdered, it's sort of a controlled version of that. I was thinking, if this happened on your season, do you know what they would have done? They would have picked up your journal and thrown it in the fire. They would have not cared what you written down. They would have been like, fucking Annabel. Who cares what? I think it's going to be interesting to see how they react to different people's notes and stuff like that, because basically, if they're already finding some people, whatever, they're just going to dismiss so many people's stuff.
As they should, because people are so wrong most of the time. I think working out who to listen to and who to ignore is an art, which they're not going to finesse. And I think also the only time, that incident in New Zealand too was exceptional, right? And everything had to line up in the right way in order for the journal handoff to be special. But I'm interested to see what happens with it. I certainly don't hate it. I think most likely it's not going to be game-changing or game-breaking, but it could be used. The information can be strategically used by the players who get to go in there to throw certain people under the bus. And we do see that with Anik next episode.
Yes. And that's the thing. They kind of, Anik, as one of the first people to go in, sort of benefited so much from being that person.
Yes.
Because but just to use you guys as an example, because you and Luke, for example, left in the same cycle, it would have been interesting to see sort of a duo, especially if they were working together also down the line, if their
You would
notes line up, and then
tell.
that would be
You would tell them everything anyway.
yeah. But people are dumb.
I know, people are dumb, famously. So, slightly unnerving Francis gives his letter to Outrageous Mustache and Outrageous Mullet, military guy, what's his name again?
Jean-Philippe.
Jean-Philippe, and sucker sweaty Marc-Andre. That man, he's not he doesn't mind a woman who beats him around a little bit. He gives his to Anik.
Kill me.
So they're the ones who are going to be getting to go into the office tomorrow. Okay, so episode 3. We need to talk about Fred's bandana. So Fred is a magician. Sorry, not a magician, an illusionist, Michael.
Yes. Yes.
He's kind of just like a weirder version of Brother Nick from Tecan 2, don't you think?
Yes.
Who also had bandanas.
And they have the similar aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like personal style.
Similar aesthetic, but like Fred doesn't have the same je ne sais quoi, you know?
Well, Nick had real, and it didn't help that Kira was there, but real little brother energy.
Yeah.
He had more pep.
Yeah. Anyway, he's there. Joshua, Cocky Josh, is still emotional about making a twat of himself last night. And Manuel is
enjoying it.
Manuel is around and being kind of annoying. So, who's been murdered? Kevin. So, Kevin is problematic hot dad. Problematic hot dad, Kevin, is already doing the heavy lifting for Anik. Anik must be a real seductress because, like, the lengths some of these men go to cover her tracks, I don't know. Ariane hasn't even been revealed as the person murdered yet, and he's already saying, and if Ariane is the one who's been murdered, it's because they're trying to frame Anik. And, like, most people seem to be buying this.
Yeah, it's like, okay, one thing I will say, I am impressed that we have now passed over the point of which the double bluff sort of thing with murdering people that the traders are going for. Now we've gone into the confusing space.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be a very tried and true strategy to just throw suspicion onto somebody else. But now traders, since Canada 1, have just been throwing people out there.
OG Mike. There's been 10 Mikes, but they all follow in the footsteps of the original.
Yeah, exactly. And so now we're in this zone where traders aren't scared of doing this because it really doesn't actually do anything anymore.
No. So Mad Genius Charles, he's like, no, it could still be Anik. And Military Mike points out to a large group, he's like, if they wanted to frame Anik, they would have kept Ariane in the game so that the two of them would keep fighting and it would be a distraction from the real traitors. It actually makes a lot more sense for our Anik to be the traitor in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
Yeah. There's still some heat on Josh but Kevin, problematic hot dad Kevin and Josh are still obsessed with the idea that it's Audrey. So Josh and Kevin, who are kind of part of this pro-Anik contingent, are very anti-Audrey, who, with Ariane, was leading the case against Anik.
Yeah, survivoring it up.
And Anik's an icon because every time she tries to smooth things over, it just gets worse. Audrey sits down with Josh and Anik and say, look, the traitors are trying to turn the three of us against each other. We're the three names out here. The three of us are all gunning for each other. I think we should just set it aside and look elsewhere. Yeah. But no, Anik and Josh don't like Audrey. They're a united front against Audrey.
Yeah, they're like, no. While that does sound like a sound strategy to protect all of us, no. Let's keep our names in everyone's mouths. Let's do the most we can to ensure that coming into this round table, us three are the top.
Yeah. And I think it's the fact, I think for Audrey, that she was actively rallying votes last episode. She was displaying gamer behavior. And that's not something anybody else is doing.
Do you think that basically Audrey is screwed by being the only gamer in a cast of people who are trying to play?
Yes. because I rallied the votes in my first and then roundtable, and that was super off-putting to a lot of people, but fortunately I had other gamers there, you know, people
Yes.
like Luke, like Sam, like Peyton, people who are fans of these shows or have played these shows and they know that's just something you do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when Audrey was doing it initially, I thought, wow, great, good job. You're rallying numbers. You're ensuring that's happening. All this sort of stuff, and it fell so flat. And
Yeah.
she's the only one driving it, and they eliminated the other person who was sort of semi helping her. That it's just like, it's you, crazy girl. You're the one who's doing it. How dare you? How dare you ensure that a majority amount of people are voting somebody out to ensure that they're getting voted out?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Oh
meant to
my
just go off our
God.
guts, our hearts. My heart
Hearts
inside
and
is saying you're a
minds.
traitor.
Hearts and minds. Um So we get to the minefield mission. Kareen can't play for medical reasons, which I assume is PTSD associated from mines blowing up in your face. They were unconfirmed, and I was like, given that 80% of this cast is military, I'm surprised there's not more people sitting out of this. Not a lot of notable stuff here, except Marilyn does a classic Marilyn where she's like, the cloaks of the traitors are black. Yes, true, I know that one.
Yes,
Come on, let's
yeah.
Marilyn.
Yeah, exactly. And they get, do you know what? They actually answer, because clearly there's been slight adjustments from this, because the two people have a thing together thing
Yeah.
was an answered thing, and it was right.
Oh, did they have that?
Yeah, so two people are not who they say they are, and they
Oh, okay.
landed
Yeah.
on it and it didn't blow up. Not that
Ooh.
any of these people
Thought about
seem
it
they're
again.
talking about it.
No. No. They completely
Same with the
forgot.
traders, cloaks are black. Correct.
Correct. Yeah, but when Mike says there's only one barrel in the conclave and says he knows it from watching the show, like that was the bit
What?
they clocked.
Yeah, they're like, oh, those barrels, those famous set dressing.
We haven't spoken about Harissa yet.
Yes.
Love Harissa, communications advisor who does not care for Manuel. She's a real vibe. Like we don't get a lot of her, but I'm really loving her.
Yeah, well, she's the token normal person.
Yeah, true.
Like,
True.
and not normal as in invisible. Because when she's up for murder, they're like, she's in the conversation, she's really piecing things together. She's like the most regular person.
Yes.
Which is good for her.
We
She'll
love
make
her.
it far then.
She'll make it far. Well, I don't know. Her head's screwed on properly, so she may not.
Yeah, she might get into a fight with somebody over real evidence. They might be like, you're crazy.
Yes. All right. So when the car's home, Arnick's name's out, Audrey's name's out for playing the game, but this is where we get the big drama. An all-out fight between Audrey and Josh. Josh is like, just because everybody else is sucked in and seduced by your eyes, it doesn't mean I will. I see through you. You're a traitor. She's like, I'm not a traitor. Je suis fidèle. Je suis fidèle. And he's like, liar, swear on your family. I swear on my family. He's like, you have your fingers crossed, she-devil.
You have something crossed. I was like, oh.
And it's just like, Josh is so confident, arrogant, and personal for someone who was so wrong only yesterday.
Yeah, for someone who literally said, I will leave this game if the person I just madly accused is a faithful. He is going so hard on somebody again. Like, he never realized, I need to step back for at least one round. He was like, no. My heart says I'm still right.
Yeah, and it's hard because there then becomes like this really visible race dynamic to this here as well. Because Audrey gets back and she's crying, and she's surrounded by basically all the white people in the house, while she sobs. This very blonde, Nordic-looking woman sobs about the angry black man. Meanwhile, the only, 4 players of color, plus Military Mike, are listening to Josh talk about Audrey's fake tears, fake white girl tears. And I'm just like, Josh, I feel for you in this moment, because you're in the minority and a minority, but on the
Yeah.
other hand, you are behaving
Yeah,
completely
you're acting
unhinged.
crazy. Yeah,
You
yeah,
are acting
exactly.
crazy. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's not because it's one of those things where it's not like they are prescribing a personality trait to somebody who isn't acting wild. He's
yes.
like, no, you are actually acting the most wild. And I
Yeah.
don't think anything about what you're saying right now, because I think that was his downfall, was that he
Yeah.
basically did this thing and it was completely believable. It was also done with the same person that they keep trying to use as a witness to everything. Poor Jean-Philippe, who keeps getting thrown into these witness positions.
Oh,
And
Jean-Philippe
it's
the
like,
witness.
okay, unfortunately, yeah, his behavior, yeah, he just couldn't climb back from it. And because how old is he?
He's young. Like, I'm not sure, but I think he looks between 22 to 24 to me. I
Because
think he's
yeah,
just
because
a young man, you know, a young, attractive man who has feelings.
yeah, because there's no way that he didn't have any form of self-reflection in the last 24 hours to
No.
not have realized what he's doing is crazy.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Man, an emotional intelligence. What can I say? So there's a lot of feelings in the air, but before the round table, the chosen ones, Jean, Philippe, and Arnick, get to go to the office to read the journals of the fallen. And while Jean Philippe would kind of like to keep it on the down low, he doesn't trust Arnick to keep quiet. And so they share with everyone that in Ariana's journal, she said she was sure that one of her girls, so that contingent that were voting for Arnick, was a traitor. And Arnick is using this to push Audrey, who was listed by both Ariane and slightly unnerving Francis. So she is kind of able to leverage this new twist.
Yes. And that's what I mean before. It's like if you have two people who have the same information, if you're smart, you'll just use that information in some way, shape, or form. Which
Yes.
luckily one of them is a traitor. So
Yes.
if it was too faithful, then this is dreadful for Audrey. As in, it's just dreadful for everyone. But because this
Yes.
is a traitor doing it, it's like, okay, good gameplay for the traitor.
And you know what? It's almost been an entire episode without Arnick fighting someone. So at this point, Arnick pulls aside Audrey for a good old tussle.
Let's get back in the ring.
In the ring, come on, let's beef.
Round 5.
So the round table opens. Military Mike's coming at Audrey, and she's being confronted for making alliances. Naughty,
How dare
naughty.
you?
And she's like, look, I'm not making alliances, I'm trying to make friendships, but all of her gaming yesterday is coming back to bite her. Classical Renaissance beauty Letitia points out that Josh is doing exactly the same thing with Arnick as he did with with Audrey as he did with Marc-Andre yesterday. And all the girlies jump in to back Audrey. And they say, look, Josh is either too confident as a faithful, so you're a shit faithful, or you're on a mission as a traitor, and you're being too personal and hurtful. But again, it's still quite a close vote again.
Yes. Well, yes. The two top people are the two people who get the majority of the votes.
Yeah.
But it's almost a landslide for Joshua.
Yeah, sorry. I some of the people I was looking at as as votes for Josh were actually I thought were votes for other people. So yes, other than Charles, who votes for Manuel, and Michael, who votes for Fred, there's a handful of people, Viti, Marie-Pierre, Mike, Josh, and Arnick, who vote for Audrey. That's going to cause some drama between Audrey and Marie-Pierre because she's supposed to be one of the girlies. Otherwise, absolutely everyone votes for Josh.
Yeah, which I wrote before the roundtable. Joshua is toast.
And he did promise that he would go out next if Marc-Andre was faithful, so I think it's only fair.
Yeah, maybe he found the technicality to what he didn't have to quit. He just had to set himself up to fail.
Yeah. And he says in his exit speech that he struggles to communicate with people, and I'm like, but girl, you're in sales. Isn't that your job?
Yeah, mustn't be good.
No.
It's the hat.
Yeah.
It was the hat.
The hat.
Like, do you want this car?
Anyway, Mike gives a little Tranner-style self-righteous speech here and says, look, it's absolutely outrageous that the vote was between two people that most thought were faithful anyway. Like, what were we doing here?
Yep.
And his wife, Corinne, is like, well, Josh was causing drama and it was making it harder to find a faithful, so get back in your box.
Yep. Yeah. I kind of love that those two are fighting.
Yeah, I do as well. I'm kind of like, yes, more husband-wife fights. And everyone being like, ooh, are they going to go against each other? And little do they know, never.
Yes.
Arnick is super smug. She didn't get any votes this round. So we love that for Arnick. Hopefully Mother can stay strong. And to mix things up a little, she's not even in this next fight. So Audrey and Marie-Pierre have a row. Because Marie-Pierre, I don't know, backstabbed Audrey. I don't really know. But according to Audrey, Marie-Pierre, Illusionist Fred are traitors. And also Manuel.
Poor Manuel catching strays. He's going to be the Knoll.
He
the
really
Knoll of the
is.
season.
And it's going to be so annoying. For me, not for you. All right, up in Traitors Tower, Arnick is pushing Mike again, but Corinne is shutting that shit down. Marilyn wants to murder Marie-Jeanne because she's well-liked and doesn't talk much. And they also suggest Letitia, who's getting a bit vocal. And Karen tells us, look, I trust Arnick more than Marilyn. Marilyn is going to come for Arnick eventually.
Yep.
What do we think is going to happen next time?
So it's basically what between the two ladies.
So I think it's between here. It's between Marie-Jeanne and Letitia. I can't remember which one Marie-Jeanne is.
The other blonde lady, the quiet blonde lady. She got quite a few confessionals, but they were older, sort of.
Okay.
What do you refer to those ones as? It was like this sort of
narration kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, she was getting a lot of narration ones.
I think
Letitia is like a character in the show.
Yeah, Letitia is a real character. So yeah, let's say goodbye to Marie-Jeanne, then I don't need to learn another character. I don't think when we reconvene 3 episodes from now, I don't think we're still gonna have Mother Arnick, and that hurts my soul.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so we're doing 3 episodes. Oh god, mega predictions. Okay.
I mean, we don't have to predict all of it, but I'm just saying, like, zooming out a bit here, I don't think Mother Arnick's long game.
I think Arnick if Arnick is gone, Marilyn is also been set up to be gone. Yeah. I think Corinne is long game. Okay, who are our sort of champions or not champions, but who are our long game predictions? Like 5 people who we know are just going to make it far.
Okay, I can see Letitia going quite far because she's a character, but not, a threat. For some reason, Illusionist Frederick gets a lot of airtime, but is seemingly meaningless. So I can see him around for quite a long time, and I think Corinne is our best traitor.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm trying to think of who else.
And I love Suspicious Twink Maxim as well. But I can see him being banished later down the terrain.
Yeah, looking at I think Charles might make it far.
Oh, yes. Charles is very good.
And I also feel like Manuel's just gonna knoll it. Like, not literal endgame, but real close. Because who was that in Canada too? I feel like there was definitely somebody. Oh, Michael John.
Yes.
So yeah, they're in this zone where it's like you're just constantly suspicious, but not the top suspicious person.
Yes. So we get the revelation where Josh, he still thinks that the traitors are Audrey, Manuel, and Frederic, gifts the invitation to the office to Marie-Pierre because he hates everybody else. And Ariane thinks it's one of her girls who's the traitor, not Arnick anymore, because it would be too dumb to murder her. So she gives her office invitation to Marie-Jeanne. But no, they find out, incredibly embarrassing for Josh again. The real traitors, none of them are Audrey, and both Ariane and host Corinne laugh at him.
Yeah. The whole time they're like laughing at him. He's just like, and they loved it. For Ariane, I'm sure that probably made her experience so much better. Oh, she got to experience that.
It made my experience better. I love Josh. He's been an iconic character. So yes, we will, as I said, this is not going to be a weekly drop. This will probably be once every 2 to 3 weeks, pending access to the episodes. Reminder, you can find those on the Traitors Archive on Reddit. We would love to know what you're thinking about the Traitors Quebec. Give us some feedback. Do you love our new video format? Is it worth it? What have you got going on and where can the people find you, Philly?
I don't have anything currently planned going on, but like I said, I think me and Eileen might talk to Karen and Miles. So we might do an Asians podcast with those two.
Love
So
that.
I'll organize that, and that could be a nice little podcast in between these. But obviously you can follow me at Chili Philly on Instagram or at the Chili Philly on Twitter. And obviously you should follow us on everything.
Yes, Babes on the Brink on Instagram and Twitter. We are going to try and make an effort this year, 2025, the time that we get a little bit profesh. As I said before, I'm going to be covering The Traitors Hungry Season 1 with Sarah Carradine. Tomorrow, actually, we're going to be recording a summary of the first half of the season, the first 6
Oh, wow.
episodes. And then my plan for these is to go through what are all of the highest ranked or most acclaimed non-English speaking versions, as the internet tells us, and do 3 episodes per season. So a first half recap, a second half recap, and then, what are the third episode will be about? What are the contributions to the meta? What were the key strategic takeaways from this that people who aren't watching these seasons should know when they, as we move forward into the future of the Traitors? So
Yes, that sounds like a great idea, Annabel. Sorry, everybody. This is the first time I heard this.
that's the vision. So this Hungry with Sarah Carradine, I'm going to do another one, I think, the Netherlands with Jane Massey from Traitors New Zealand. Shout out to friend of the pod, listener Danielle, who has been recommending seasons for me to prioritize. If you've got any feedback or seasons that you really think that we should be covering early on, let me know. And feedback on the format as well. This is an experiment, so let's build this together, babes.
Well, we're learning.
We're learning. She's learning. Love you all so much, Babyliciouses. Have a wonderful rest of your week and see you very soon. Bye.
Bye.